King Charles smiled and waved to crowds this morning, a day after spending time in hospital dealing with side effects from his cancer treatment.
Something terrifying just happened at Buckingham Palace, and now the nation is bracing itself for the worst. King Charles has just been rushed to the hospital, and the reason has left the monarchy shaken. According to palace insiders, King Charles had been experiencing extreme fatigue and persistent health complications related to his recent cancer treatment. While the palace initially downplayed the situation, sources now confirm that his condition took a sudden turn, forcing his medical team to act fast. Emergency protocols were triggered, and he was immediately transported under heavy security to a private medical facility. The public was stunned when Buckingham Palace issued a rare and urgent update confirming the king had been taken ill unexpectedly. For many, the statement felt carefully worded, sparking fears that the full truth was still being withheld. Even senior royal aides were reportedly caught off guard, with some admitting this wasn't just a routine checkup, it was something much more serious. And now the pressure is building. But what Lady Colin Campbell said next has everyone thinking, is Britain about to crown a new king?
Buckingham Palace has said King Charles spent a short period of time in hospital today after experiencing the temporary side effects of his cancer treatment. He's now returned to Clarence House, where he's continuing to work, but all official engagements tomorrow have been postponed. He was due to visit Birmingham.
The sudden hospitalization of King Charles sent a shockwave through the United Kingdom. While Buckingham Palace tried to calm public fears by describing it as a temporary side effect of his ongoing cancer treatment, the reassurance didn't land the way they hoped. The very fact that the king had to be rushed into care, despite being under constant medical supervision, made people question how serious things really were behind the palace gates. Even though the official statement tried to keep things vague, calling the episode routine and precautionary, the timing and secrecy surrounding the incident raised a lot of eyebrows. Many pointed out how quickly the hospital team was mobilized and how tight-lipped everyone remained about his exact condition. It didn't take long before panic started to spread. Online platforms flooded with messages from concerned citizens, and the hashtags related to King Charles's health started trending within hours. People were scared, not just for the man himself, but for what this might mean for the future of the monarchy. Whispers quickly turned into wild speculation. Was this really just a side effect or a sign of something much more critical? Was the palace withholding the real condition of the king to avoid triggering a constitutional crisis? The more they stayed silent, the louder the rumors got. But it wasn't just the hospital visit that had people scared. It was what insiders began revealing next that stunned everyone. Lady Colin Campbell, known for her deep ties to royal circles, didn't hold back. In a recent statement, she painted a much more troubling picture of the king's health. According to her, cancer isn't something that's going to be cured. She said it's being managed, not treated to cure. That phrase hit hard, because while the public was hoping for a recovery, Lady C made it sound like this was a long-term battle, one with no victory in sight. What made her comments even more concerning was her mention of how much stress the king is under. She pointed out that Charles, even in his weakened condition, is still pushing through public duties. He's attending engagements, signing off on state affairs, and carrying the weight of the crown, while his body is quite literally fighting a losing battle. According to her, the palace's need to keep things normal is only putting more pressure on him, and that could be speeding up the decline. And just when we thought it couldn't get more serious, a royal correspondent made a statement that hinted at something even more unsettling.
We were told by the palace very late on Thursday night that he had unfortunately suffered some side effects of the ongoing cancer treatment that he's having on a largely weekly basis, and that he had to go into hospital for observation. I mean, by the afternoon, late afternoon, he was back at home at Clarence House with Queen Camilla. They had dinner together, he was working. So I think it was only, a very brief issue. But the doctors decided to err on the side of caution and cancel his afternoon engagements and also a string of engagements in Birmingham the next day. I was told by people, actually, he probably was well enough to do Birmingham, but they said, you know what, let's just be on the safe side.
Yeah.
He'd already planned to go to Highgrove for the weekend because it's the last weekend he can be there before the gardens open up for charity for the summer, so he decided to go and have a nice long weekend of R&R. But he's been back working every day this week. But as I say, I think it's a reminder to us that this is a man who is, as often has been described to me, is living with cancer on an ongoing basis. And you know, sometimes we all need to remember that and cut him a little bit of slack.
Veteran royal reporter Jenny Bond dropped a comment that many are now rereading with new eyes. She suggested that the monarchy may already be making quiet moves to prepare for a transition. Not a dramatic abdication, but a soft handover behind the scenes. Prince William is allegedly stepping up. He's taking on more engagements, being briefed more frequently, and even having private meetings with top advisors. It's all being done discreetly, but the intention is becoming harder to hide. There have also been subtle changes in how the royal family's public image is being shaped. William and Kate's presence in the media is being amplified. They're being framed more and more as the new face of the monarchy, and that shift doesn't happen unless there's a reason. What Bond is hinting at is a kind of shadow transition, something that allows King Charles to remain the official monarch while William gradually takes on the real responsibilities. And if that's the case, it's clear the palace knows more than they're saying about the king's ability to rule long term. But if William's preparing, what does that say about what's really going on behind palace walls?
Let's talk about the king now, Rebecca. He gave us all a bit of a scare this week, didn't he, with a new health development?
He did, but the good news is the minute we wrap up filming, I'm about to rush off and do an engagement with him, which I'm pretty sure
Of course you are.
I'm pretty sure he wouldn't be doing if he was still feeling terrible. But it's still serious. It's a reminder for us all of what this incredibly brave and dignified man is going through on a personal level.
While the world watches King Charles' health decline, it's Prince William who's carrying a weight that few can imagine. He's not just the heir to the throne anymore. He's the son of a very ill man, a husband to someone also battling health issues, and the future king of a country in the middle of a storm. With Kate Middleton recovering from her own serious medical condition, William finds himself pulled in all directions, balancing royal duty, personal grief, and an uncertain future. And that future is creeping closer every day. The reality is, once Charles passes, William's entire life will change overnight. There won't be time to grieve or step back. He'll immediately become the King of England. That means stepping into a role that demands constant attention, political neutrality, public appearances, and a level of personal discipline that few can maintain. The crown is often romanticized, but for William, it's coming with a very real cost. He's staring down the possibility of losing his father, not just emotionally, but also structurally. Charles isn't just his dad, he's also the monarch who has shielded him from full responsibility. When that shield is gone, William takes it all on, alone. No one else can understand what that feels like. And you can see it in the way he carries himself lately, calm on the surface, but the tension is there. And while William tries to hold it together, some fans are pointing out strange signs that Charles might be holding on by a thread. People have started to look closer at recent appearances of King Charles. One of the most talked about things, his swollen hands. It's been a recurring detail in royal photos, but lately it's been more noticeable. Viewers are commenting on how pale and tired he seems, how his posture has weakened, and how even short engagements appear to exhaust him. Despite all of this, Charles continues to show up for public duties. On one hand, it's admirable. It shows his dedication, but on the other hand, it's raising serious concerns. Should someone in his condition really be out in public like this? There's a fine line between dedication and denial. But even as the king's health grabs headlines, another debate is taking over, one that has to do with faith and controversy. King Charles has long been vocal about his respect for different religions, especially Islam, and during Ramadan, he issued a message of solidarity to the Muslim community in the UK. On the surface, it was a kind and inclusive gesture, but behind the scenes, it sparked backlash from a specific group of critics, those who questioned how his position as head of the Church of England fits with this open religious support. This religious division is coming at a time when unity is needed most, but it's not just the public who's feeling uncertain.
A photograph has been officially issued of the king at his desk. He's obviously not fuller in the face. The effect of the chemotherapy, I think, is there. His lips look thinner. And obviously, it's a great strain for anybody, but while you're bearing the burdens of being head of state at the same time as you're being treated, I'm sure it isn't easy for him. It's a very great shame for me to see him. I was 5 years old when he was born. I've watched him and reported on him throughout his life, and I'm very sad to see him in this way.
Even as concerns about King Charles swirl, one figure has stayed unusually steady in the public eye: Queen Camilla. While her husband is reportedly dealing with serious health complications, Camilla hasn't disappeared from the spotlight. In fact, she's been carrying on with her royal duties as scheduled, appearing calm, composed, and deliberate in her presence. To some, that's a sign that things behind palace walls might not be as critical as people fear, but others aren't buying it. For many seasoned royal watchers, this is all part of a carefully crafted performance, an effort to project stability during a time of uncertainty. The royal family has always played a long game when it comes to public image, and Camilla's composed appearance could be a tactic to keep panic at bay, especially if behind the scenes things are far more serious than they're letting on. And while Camilla keeps calm on the outside, royal watchers are digging deeper into the signs the palace isn't sharing. There's growing speculation that King Charles may never fully return to his royal duties, not in the way he once did. Though palace statements have described his condition as manageable, the truth is, cancer often comes with unpredictable ups and downs, and as history has shown us, when a monarch's health begins to fade, the transition of power becomes less a matter of if and more a matter of when. We've seen this before. Queen Elizabeth herself reduced her public appearances drastically in her final years. Monarchs in the past have had to adjust their roles quietly as illness took hold, all while the palace insisted things were fine. Now Charles is facing a similar reality. He spent most of his life in the shadow of his mother, preparing, waiting, but after just over a year on the throne, he's already being forced to consider what comes next. It's a cruel twist. The crown he waited for is now becoming a burden he may not be able to carry for much longer. But the most heartbreaking part? Charles waited his whole life for this moment, only to be met with a battle he may not win. This looming transition isn't just about one man's fate, it's shaking the entire foundation of the monarchy. Showable confidence is already showing signs of wear. With health rumors spreading and the monarchy's future uncertain, voices calling to end the royal institution have gotten louder. Some see this as the perfect time for Britain to consider a republic, but not everyone feels that way. There are still many who believe in the tradition and the role it plays in British identity. For those people, there's hope that Prince William, young, modern, and already admired by much of the public, could be the fresh face the monarchy needs to survive this crisis. Still, the king's health has become more than a personal issue. His struggle mirrors the institution's own fragility. As he weakens, so does the public's faith in what the crown stands for. What do you guys think about King Charles's current condition? Should he step down? Will Prince William be ready if the time comes? Let me know your thoughts in the comments.